Hello, everyone, and welcome back to V13. My name is Angel, and today I am here with a dazzling indie folk artist. She's a trailblazing singer-songwriter with a voice and lyrics certain to captivate. Here to discuss her upcoming Orion EP and feature film, which she has a lead debut in, give it up for Miss Karin Ann.
Hi.
Hi, it's so wonderful to meet you.
You too. I'm so excited to do this.
Me too. I'm really happy that you're here. Before we get into the excitement of Orion, can you kind of walk us back to where your singer-songwriting story began?
Gosh. A long time ago. I think at this point it's like about 10 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, a long time. I grew up around a lot of music and a lot of musical theater and a lot of just like, Disney Channel, as a lot of
Yeah.
kids my age do or did. So I've been around a lot of music and just kind of acting and creative endeavors my whole life. I did a lot of sports that involved a lot of music. Um, and yeah, I always loved it. And I always said, I think since I was like 4 years old, I said that I'm going to act and do music. And everybody was just like, yeah, right. Like, that's so silly of you. Cause it's not exactly, well, it's not an easy thing to do and to get into. And I feel like, especially where I'm from, it's not really common for people to go into entertainment. We don't have a huge scene. So, everybody was like, she'll outgrow it. She won't, like, she'll change her mind. And because of that, I kind of went more into visual arts and visual media. And I thought that was going to be my life for a second. But even in that, I kind of thought that I would do like costume design or like makeup and hair for movies or, theater. So I always wanted to be around it. And then when I was in art school, when I was 14, I got injured and I couldn't draw anymore. And that was kind of my main source of expression, I guess.
Yeah.
My main kind of thing that I channeled my experiences to. And just like, I was I still consider myself quite shy, but I was a really, really shy kid. I wouldn't talk a lot. So drawing was kind of the thing for me. So when I couldn't do it, it kind of made my identity fall apart in a way.
Of
Um,
course.
but that's kind of when I discovered writing, and writing lyrics and writing music. Cause up until that point, I was too scared to try writing my own songs. Cause I was like, oh, it's going to be bad. And what if I'm not good at it? And if it's, when it's something that you want to do and you've wanted to do for so long, then you're so scared to try because if you're not good at it, what do you do? Like
Yeah,
what?
I totally get it.
So yeah, that's when I kind of started writing and I just kind of fell into everything else and it all kind of happened really fast. But I wrote my kind of first lyrics, first songs at 14. So now it's 10 years ago. So that's crazy.
Wow. That is
Um,
crazy.
but I didn't really start releasing until I was 17 and my first EP came out when I was 18. So it took a while, but got there eventually. And even
Yeah.
that now feels like a lifetime ago.
I know, it's so crazy with the way that life moves, and especially as a creative, you're constantly trying to infuse your energy into the next project, so it feels like miles away from your last work.
Yeah, I genuinely hate so much when I make something and I have to wait a long time for it to come out. Because it gives me time to not only outgrow it, just like creatively and experience wise and in the way that I approach writing and creating, but also gives me time to overthink it and to be like,
Definitely.
maybe if we did this, it would be better. Or like, so I like a quick turnaround on my things, but it's a bit of a double-edged sword for me because I also am like, nothing can come out until it's ready. But when it's ready, that's when I need it to be fast.
I totally understand that because you end up becoming your own worst critic if you wait too long once something is finalized. But at the same time, you're a perfectionist, so you want it to be in the right place before the world gets to hear it.
Yeah, exactly. And I hate how fast everything is now and how
Mm-hmm.
everybody gets something new like every month. I'm
I
like, I would rather
know.
take my time and make sure that it's in a place where I'm really proud of it and really happy with it than to give people something that doesn't feel like it was ready.
Absolutely. And I think that's really important, especially for your age, because you were born in 2002, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so for someone who is so young and driven, you don't want to get kind of consumed by that fast-paced music society where it's always like the next hit single fitting for short-form content. That's not what your music is like at all. And kind of diving into this new Orion EP, I feel like it's very much a storytelling piece. It's very introspective, it's very deep, it's haunting at some points. And I'm really wondering, were these songs written specifically alongside the script for the film, or did it begin with your own story? How did that emerge?
I think anything I do has to have a part of me in it and a part of my life in it. Even in acting, when you're creating a character, you kind of have to make it real. And to make it real, you have to relate to the character in some way. Even if it's like a completely opposite person to you, you have to find a way to relate to that person. So you have to find a way to relate your life to the character. And it kind of was the same, I think, for the music for this movie. I was really scared actually to be writing a whole EP for a movie. It was kind of a very terrifying feat to undertake because I was like, well, what if I say yes and then I don't get inspired and I have nothing to deliver and then it's
Yeah.
just like horrible for everybody, or like I just am not going to be happy with, it's not going to feel right. And I was just very worried about on many different levels about making this, but I got convinced, I got persuaded by the amazing team that I worked with on this project. They really made me feel really comfortable in the fact that they chose me for a reason and that they really love what I do and they really wanted me to do this. And they also kind of gave me a lot of freedom to just kind of do whatever. Because I was like, guys, if you expect a pop song, you're not going to get it from me and you should, get somebody else if that's what you want. But they were like, no, we love what you do. And, you have kind of the freedom to do whatever. And obviously, I was sending them things as they were coming along to me, and anything I sent, they were super excited about. So I was like, you guys don't even want to give me like any direction? What's going on? But yeah, I actually ended up writing these songs before I started shooting, which was crazy. Because I was like, guys, if I'm going to do this, I'm probably going to have to see a first cut of the movie before I even write anything. But then I think because I was a part of it acting wise as well, and I had the script and I was doing my character work and kind of really immersed myself in that world. I think 2 weeks before I started shooting, I wrote all of the songs,
Wow.
which was kind of crazy.
That's amazing. That
Yeah, it was
is.
crazy. And I did not expect that to be the way it was going to go. But I was really happy about it because then I could just focus on the acting. And, I was like, I know that I have something for the music.
Absolutely. That's incredible. And kind of going off of that, since you actually made the songs before you went into shooting, once you were taking on this role as Morgan, did you feel like the music that you created was kind of almost narrating your scenes for you? Did you feel even more connected to the music as you were portraying your on-screen role?
Yeah, I think that maybe one of the songs was not fully finished by the time I had started it, but I didn't really know where it was going to take me yet. And then when I was on set, Sunil, one of the producers, was talking to me and he said, well, it would be interesting if you maybe did a song that also has Morgan's point of view. And I was like, oh, that's actually an interesting idea. So then one of the songs actually ended up, it's a mixed bag. It's not just from one person's point of view in the story, but there's parts of the lyrics where I'm like, yeah, this is Morgan and what she's going through. Um, but it was also just really inspiring to be on set. And I've done little bits of acting before, but this was the first movie that I done and that I was on set for. And it was just like really exciting. Like any theater kid, I was just like freaking out. I was
Yeah.
just like, oh, this is so cool. I feel so like I'm on the movie set and, just living the dream. And yeah, I ended up going on set a lot of the days that I wasn't shooting as well, because I was in town for a little bit, for a block of time. And throughout that block of time, I had my shooting days scheduled, but I also ended up coming to set on days where I wasn't shooting, just because I wanted to kind of be in that atmosphere and see what's happening and how everybody's approaching their characters, and just like seeing how everything works together and seeing the story kind of come to life. And yeah, it was really awesome and really inspiring, and I am really grateful for that whole experience.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm really happy for you that you got to experience this. So, congratulations, first of all.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's such a huge feat to not only be creating the soundtrack for the film, but to actually be starring in it. And you end up sharing the screen with veterans like Andrew McCarthy, Andrew Van Acker, and Debby Ryan. So I'm kind of wondering, what was the best piece of advice or maybe a key insight that you gained while working alongside them on set?
I think I was just really happy I didn't do anything too embarrassing, because I was, again, grew up on Disney Channel, so obviously a fan of Debbie.
Yes, of course,
Also grew up
Jessie.
with Flyers, so a big fan of Drew as well. And I ended up meeting Drew prior to the movie anyway, because the first time I met him and Sunil, one of the producers, they came to my album release party,
Oh,
and I
wow.
didn't really know that they were coming. And it was kind of when we first were starting to be talking about that they want my music for the movie. And so I didn't know they were coming, and I was already like, so much was happening. It was my debut album. It was a release party. My mom came to surprise me in LA,
Aw.
and it's like, so much is happening. And then I turn around and, they're there, and I was just like, whoa. But then I ended up getting dinner with them like a little bit later, and we just kind of talked about the movie, and then about just like us as people, to make sure that, we get along and if there's good chemistry with everybody in the team. And it was really important to me to make sure that, again, they actually loved what I did, and they actually wanted me as an artist and not just like any artist, because I am quite specific in what I do, and I'm also really stubborn. And I think a lot of people kind of don't expect me to push back if I don't feel comfortable in something, but I do push back. So
That's
I just
good.
wanted to make sure. Yeah, I mean, I think especially young women should be doing more of that, But
Absolutely.
I feel like it's not really expected, and I just wanted to make sure that everybody kind of there was good energy all around, and they made me feel really comfortable, even, going into the project. And again, like getting my music on board, and then also getting my acting on board, and going on set, they made me feel really safe and comfortable in calming down my nerves. I'm an anxious person, so I was anxious anyway, but I feel like I would be a lot more anxious if I didn't have these conversations prior with them,
Absolutely.
and we didn't, kind of form a little bit of a friendship before. And they were also just they were basically saying that if anything is happening on set that, I want to talk about, or anything, like if there's a scene that maybe I want to discuss my take on, or whatever it may be, I should just like not be scared to come to them, which obviously made me feel a lot safer and more comfortable. Um, and also everybody was just really on board with kind of me trying things as a creative, because something that's kind of scary with acting is that you never know if the team making the movie is going to have a specific vision that they kind of want you to stick to, or if they're going to respect the fact that acting is also a craft, and that you kind of have your own takes on things, and, maybe be down to try something that maybe they didn't think about. And on this set, everybody was super, super open and super welcoming. And I watched even some of the more intense scenes between Drew and Debbie being filmed. And I think that you can learn so much just by watching people. This is also why I love going to the theater. I mean, I love theater in general, but I do think that it gives me so much as an actor and as a musician. to go and see live performances, whether it's concerts or musical theater or live theater of plays. Like it genuinely gives you so much. And being on set and just like watching how people work and the choices they're making and why they're making them and kind of seeing it all click and make sense. It gives you, I think, more than any, textbook that you can read about it.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And I think it's so amazing that even though you do deal with so many anxieties, you're so true to who you are as a creative and you have the confidence and strength to kind of walk into a room, even with new collaborators, and let them know, like, this is how I work. This is how I function. I'm not going to compromise my integrity. So I really appreciate that as a young woman myself in the creative field. So I'm glad that you're able to share that to your audience and to your fans.
Yeah, I think it's, people definitely, especially young women, need to do more of that and, not be afraid to take up space.
Absolutely. And since you did mention that you're such a Disney kid and how surprising it was to kind of witness Debbie in action like that, I gotta know, are you more of a Sweet Life on Deck or Jessie vibe?
Oh, that's a good question. Um, hmm. I feel like out of those two, I probably saw more of Jessie. But I also just like, The Wizards of Waverly Place is
Oh,
such
yes. Classic.
in my household. Also, the High School Musical movies, Camp Rock, like all of these, and even a little bit later, like Girl Meets World. That's when I first got into Sabrina Carpenter. And when she started having her moment a couple years ago, I was like, I've been here. I've been at this camp.
That's right. That's right. You were there from day one. I can relate as we're kind of the same age realm. So all those shows I grew up on too. So it makes a lot of sense. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's so nostalgic on H2O as well, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so it was crazy and it was really surreal. And I was just like, wow, this is my life. That's insane.
It's incredible. Well, you deserve it. You're a very hard worker, and I think it's amazing how you re-navigated your life when something happened that unfortunately halted your whole drawing experience. You were able to take that creativity into the music realm. And something I really want to ask you is, since this film explores what it means to be human through buried memories, while you were dealing with these heavy themes on the shooting days, did it kind of stir up new songwriting ideas for you creatively?
I was so focused on Orion in that time period that I didn't really think about anything else. But I do think that kind of any experience I go through teaches me so much that I probably definitely have a new understanding. Like, I think it taught me a lot about how intertwined acting and songwriting are for me and how similar they are in a way, because you have to be so in touch with your emotions and so kind of open to feeling whatever you're feeling in both of those mediums. And it kind of, again, I always wanted to do both, always loved both, and always kind of had dipped my toes in both of those. But this was the first time that I was doing kind of both at one time, which was a really interesting experience. And it definitely taught me a lot about me as an actor and me as a songwriter. And I mean, even since then, because I wrote all those songs in 2024. So even since then, my songwriting has evolved so much that was kind of the first, I want to say it was my album that kind of first gave me a specific kind of window into who I am as a songwriter. Then the Orion EP kind of was right after my album got released. So that was kind of the transition into what I am doing now and kind of the stuff that I'm working on now, and the two songs that came out last year. That was, it all kind of happened right at one thing after the other. And, there's stuff that I'm working on now that I kind of started working on right after the Orion stuff. Or like, a couple months. I say right after, but it can be, 6 months.
Yeah, no, of course.
But I mean creatively as my next project, because I kind of think about it in terms of what my next creative endeavor was rather than time.
Of course.
But it definitely taught me so many things. And I think I carry a lot of carry myself differently in a lot of ways, even on sets, because I've done one more movie since doing Orion. And, I feel like it's always scary to go into a new project and a new set, but I feel like I was a lot more comfortable going on set because I was like, okay, I did it once and I didn't mess up. People were happy with my work, and I was kind of a lot more comfortable. And yeah, I think I don't, it's just overall any experience in life, I think, teaches you something about yourself. And as a creative, as a songwriter, as an actor, you really have to know who you are, and you really have to be in touch with every side of yourself. So you kind of have to digest and sit on and maybe think about certain experiences and how they kind of affected you moving forward.
Absolutely, without a doubt. And kind of going back to being like in tune with your identity and just how like to be focused on your voice. I really want to get more into this EP that's coming out because it's very exciting. July 31st, we got this on the way. So going into the first song, Born to Be, it's very cinematic. It has like this hauntingly beautiful feeling when you listen to it. So can you walk us through the inspiration on this track and maybe some of your favorite lyrics?
I think I still have on my Spotify a pinned, maybe I unpinned it recently actually, but I definitely had it for like years, pinned playlist that said Orion Inspo. And it was such a long playlist of songs that I felt like were playing both into my genre as an artist and kind of what I was doing at the time and what I was transitioning into, but still also having that cinematic quality and a little bit of that sci-fi energy in a way. And I used to love that playlist. It's so funny because I think I just unpinned it like this week.
Oh,
Otherwise,
man.
and be like, wait, let me find what specific songs are there. I never make short playlists. I always make long playlists. But I love having playlists for inspiration when I'm working on things. And, sometimes it's not even like specifically titled, oh, this project inspiration. Sometimes it's just like what I'm listening to the most at the time, because that obviously affects, how I'm approaching working on whatever I'm working on. Yeah, it was also crazy because I think I wrote 3 of the 4 songs on a guitar, and I genuinely just started learning it like a couple weeks before I wrote the song.
No way.
So I was like, this is kind of really fun that I just like did that on a guitar when I can't play really.
That's phenomenal. That's incredible.
Yeah, I all of these songs, I think, pretty much. I think there was one that was kind of started a while before for something else, and then that didn't end up happening. So I did a rewrite because I really liked the melodies, which I think was Too Late to Turn Back Now. But all the other ones, it was just me sitting with my guitar because I was messing around with my guitar a lot because I just kind of started learning it, which, by the way, I haven't learned much since. So if anybody's like, oh, she has to be so good now, no. But I was just like messing around with my guitar so much that I just kind of like would start playing things that I like, and then I would kind of start improvising. And I think that because I was so immersed in the Orion world already, that it came to me so naturally, all of the stuff that I was like, I'm actually like making the songs for it.
That makes a lot of sense now, like thinking back on the tracks, because when I was listening to it, they all had a very like woodsy kind of feeling, like around a campfire strumming a guitar, but also with that haunting cinematic lens. So now with this context, it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, I think I was also kind of transitioning a little bit more from my album, which was I think I started dabbling in folk on my album, but it was still more cinematic and orchestral, and kind of I just kind of had a lot of inspirations from soundtracks, from instrumental soundtracks in terms of production for my album. And I was kind of transitioning from that to more of the folk world because I really fell in love with that sort of, and folk is something that I've always had in my life. But I think that when I was working on my album, I was like, I think that this is what I need to do next, is just like go full folk. But this was kind of still the transitional period. And obviously it was for a movie as well, and a sci-fi movie. So it was kind of a natural instinct to go still quite orchestral with it and quite cinematic, but I did want to have the elements of like, but it's still folk songs. So it was really fun kind of playing around with it and figuring out how to make it work together. And even on one of the songs, I was like, I really need a whistle, but I can't whistle. So we had to find a whistle person, and it was genuinely a thing. We were like, okay, we actually have to find somebody who can whistle and record it. And we found somebody, and it was a whole situation of like, can we bring this person in to like
That
whistle?
is so funny. Oh my gosh, I can't whistle either, so I understand you.
Yeah, I wish I could. It would make my life so much easier and cooler.
Yeah, it
Like
would
when
be
I was
really
on
cool.
LP whistles a lot in her songs, but she also does it live. And I was always like, damn, like I want to do that.
Yeah, it's the one thing that you're missing, but maybe one day, you never know. It could happen. That's so funny because the whistle actually really stood out to me when I was listening to the songs because it felt almost like a duet to your vocals in a way. So
I'm so glad that it's getting picked up on because it
yeah.
was such a specific detail that I was like so adamant about. I was like,
No, it was neat. It was necessary.
I'm so
Definitely. Yeah, no, I love whistles. Like anytime there's a whistle in a track, it just elevates the song. So your vision was perfect.
yeah, I really love playing around. I think it's become kind of my signature that is I play around with a lot of backing vocals that are not necessarily harmonies on words, but more so just like atmospheric. Me and the producer that I've been working with for 4 years now, we call them my sirens, my siren calls, because I always am like they kind of sound like I'm a siren, like trying to lure somebody to their death. But I really love playing around with those kind of atmospheric oohs and ahs and, you know, that sort of like melodic element. And I think actually it started on my album, but I think the Orion EP was kind of what really solidified that instinct for me.
That's really cool. That's exciting to hear. I'm glad you were able to finally have a firm foundation with those siren calls within the tracks. That's amazing. I really love that. And something else I wanted to ask you about is on the song that is titled I Can't Trust Your Eyes. I thought the lyrics were so interesting on this one, especially about I can't trust your eyes when all I see are lies, because that's very painfully relatable. And I'm curious what inspired this sonic story of betrayal.
I don't want to give too many spoilers away for but there's a very specific situation in the movie that I saw in the script before I was on set, but it kind of solidified it for me when I was on set. I started working on that song before. I think I wrote the first draft of it before I was on set, but when I was there, I was like, this is exactly right. Like this is what I was trying to write about because I saw it in the script and I was like, if this is done right, it's going to be so cool. And it's basically a scene between Debbie's character and Drew's character. And they kind of have this back and forth throughout the movie. Again, I don't want to give too many spoilers. So there's multiple kind of situations where it can apply to, but I was watching one specific scene being filmed. And when people are going to watch the movie, they're going to know what I mean when I say that there's this glass separating them. And there's this whole back and forth about what's going on and about do we trust each other? Are we being honest? Are we lying? Who's lying? If anyone's lying, who's telling the truth? And it's this whole thing. And it's such a simple scene. You know, like there's not like buildings blowing up or anything, you know, like there's very intimate two people just having a conversation through this glass window. And I was just like, it was basically inspired by their dynamic in the movie. Again, there's multiple situations in the movie where they have this back and forth. It's kind of the core thing between their characters specifically. So it was very much inspired by their characters, but watching that scene being filmed and now I also was able to see the movie. So seeing it play out, I was like, yes, this is exactly what I was going for. And I was just really happy that I figured out the way to capture it. And I wish I could like speak about it more plainly, but I just don't want to give spoilers away because I feel like I'm really not saying much. I'm just like, there's two people talking, you know? Like,
no, it's okay.
but,
it's okay.
But
it's even more exciting this way.
I don't want to spoil it for people, but
Of
because
course.
it's a very character-driven movie. It's a
Yeah.
very performance-driven movie. And, I don't want to give that away before people can see it.
That's really fair. I completely understand that. And I think it's just going to build more anticipation the way that you broadly discussed it. So nothing to worry about
Hopefully,
there.
I hope so.
Yeah,
I was really
definitely.
proud of that. I feel like I really was able to capture that dynamic quite well.
Yeah. I'm really happy that you were able to. And I'm even more excited to watch the film now because the song is so vivid listening to it. It paints a picture in your head. So now I'm curious if it's going to match up what I'm feeling as I listen to the song.
Yeah, I think that all of the songs kind of are gonna, in a way, be spoilers for the movie. But I think that people won't really understand why until they see the movie. Because I think I was quite specific in a lot of them. Even Born to Be is, it's such I love that song. It's such a, yeah, all of the songs kind of allowed me to play with perspectives a lot. Because in the acting side of things, I obviously had one character that I was portraying. But in the music, I kind of was exploring different sides of, different characters and different perspectives. And um I don't know how much information is available about the movie, so I don't want to say anything that I will that my team's gonna be like, why did
It's
you say
okay.
that?
It's
But
okay.
I mean, people know that it's a sci-fi, right? And Born to
Yes.
Be is like about one specific entity in the movie and about how it's being treated in the movie. And I always am somebody who has a lot of empathy for animals and nature and just like everything and anything. So that song specifically was more from the point of view of empathy towards that entity. Meanwhile, like I said, I Can Trust Your Eyes was about a dynamic between these two characters. And then Too Late to Turn Back Now is intertwines a lot of different perspectives. It's not all song just one perspective, but a lot of the song is from kind of Morgan's perspective on things. So it was all just it was really fun to play around with it. And I feel like I want to say more, but I just am like, how do I talk about this without spoiling anything?
No, I totally understand. I wish we were off the record and that this wasn't a professional interview setting. Then you could spill all the secrets. But thank you so much for these little tidbits. I really appreciate it. I do have one more big question for you that I love to ask all of my guests here at V13. So, 2026 is kind of shaping up to be a defining year for you across both music and film. What is your ultimate dream? It could be big or small. What is Karin's current dream?
I really, 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 like, really badly want to be involved in musical theater. It's something that I've always loved since I was a kid. I never really thought I could do it because in Slovakia, where I'm from, we don't really have a huge musical theater scene. But, now that I'm out in the world, I'm in London. Part of the reason that London was the pick is because it has a theater scene. So it's something that I really, really, really want to do is musical theater. And in general, acting is something I want to focus on more. Obviously, I'm not stopping music. I'm working on a lot of stuff that I'm not going to talk about much because I don't want to give anything away. And I don't want people being like, oh, when is this coming out? I'm not going to say much. I am working on a lot of new music that people can look forward to. But I feel like people are not really used to seeing me in the more acting thespian space of things. And I don't think a lot of people know that musical theater is such a big part of my life and such a big dream of mine.
Well, that's really exciting to hear. I mean, even when I was watching your music video for I Was Never Yours, I could see your emotive behavior. Even when you're like performing on the stage, you could feel that little theatrical soul that's kind of emanating through you. So I'm really excited to see that part of your story unfold.
Hopefully, fingers crossed that I'll get
Yeah,
to.
definitely. I believe the opportunities are going to come your way because you're talented, you're capable, and there's big things in your future.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for speaking with me today. It was such an honor to have you on the show. And that is all for V13. If you have any final words you want to say to our guest, feel free.
Oh, well, I hope people are gonna love the EP, and I hope that people are gonna love the movie when it comes out. And, a lot of the things that I talk about now, I think are gonna make a lot of sense when the movie is out and people can see it. but I'm really proud of it. I'm really excited about it. So people should definitely listen and watch.
Yes, definitely. You heard it here, folks. Make sure you listen to the Orion EP and stay tuned for the film coming out later in the fall. And thank you so much, Karin. It was wonderful to speak with you. And that concludes this episode. Bye, everyone.
Bye.